The galaxy was burning. Stars lit up not with their natural glow, but with the fire of warships tearing each other apart. For centuries, alien empires had fought across the void, clashing in battles so massive that whole planets were lost as nothing more than collateral damage. The Skorath Dominion fought to expand its reach. The Veyari Alliance fought to survive, and hundreds of smaller species bent their knees to whichever power promised them safety. In this chaos, the war had become endless, a storm that devoured everything. And yet, there was one name never spoken in these councils of war: humanity. To most aliens, Earth was nothing more than a primitive world. Yes, humans had begun to travel between stars, but their colonies were small, their ships too fragile, and their history too short. They were seen as a people not ready for the great stage of the galaxy. While giants clashed, humans stayed quiet. They traded where they could, they learned, they listened, but they did not fight. So the galaxy forgot them. Until one night, in the middle of the war, something strange happened. In the War Council of the Veyari Alliance, reports came in of a new fleet arriving on the edge of the battlefield near the Orvac system. At first, the alien generals dismissed it as nothing more than another minor faction sending reinforcements. But then the signal was decoded. The fleet was not Veyari, not Skorath, not any known ally or enemy. The signal carried only two words: from Earth. Confusion spread through the chamber. The generals argued, voices rising. Earth? Humanity? Impossible. Humans did not fight in galactic wars. They were merchants, explorers, colonists, nothing more. They had no fleets powerful enough to cross into such a dangerous war zone. But the signal was real, and soon, so were the ships. They came out of hyperspace in a perfect formation. Sleek, dark vessels with sharp angles that seemed designed, not for beauty but for efficiency. They were smaller than the great dreadnoughts of the Skorath, smaller even than the heavy cruisers of the Veyari. To alien eyes, they looked unimpressive. But there was something strange about them. Their hulls were not covered in gold and crystal, like Veyari ships, nor in spikes and fire like Skorath war machines. They were steel, pure and simple, painted in gray and black, like weapons born from the heart of a death world. At first, the alien admirals laughed. This was humanity's grand entrance? Small warships that barely looked armed? Surely this was a mistake. But deep inside, a few of them felt a chill, because the humans were silent. No threats, no boasts, no long speeches. Only silence as their ships took position. Then, in the quiet of space, a single human voice cut through the channels, translated into every alien tongue. Calm, steady, unshaken. Humanity has arrived. And then, everything changed. The first Skorath fleet moved in, eager to crush the humans in one swift strike. The alien ships were massive, bristling with cannons, their shields glowing with power. The Veyari commanders almost pitied the humans. They expected Earth's fleet to be torn apart in minutes, but the humans fired first. The soundless flash of railguns ripped through the void, kinetic slugs traveling at speeds no alien weapon had ever reached. They smashed into Skorath shields, and the shields failed instantly. Armor cracked, ships split in two, and explosions tore through the fleet. Before the Skorath could even respond, waves of human missiles followed. Not the slow, predictable plasma weapons of the galaxy, but guided storms of fire that hunted their targets like predators. Skorath cruisers tried to run. They died running. The Veyari War Council fell silent. Every admiral, every general, every leader sat frozen as they watched the impossible unfold. The humans were not weak. They were not fragile. They had been hiding. They had been waiting. And now, when they finally chose to step onto the battlefield, they did so with weapons no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. The aliens stared in horror as the Skorath fleet broke apart in less than an hour. Hundreds of ships gone, dozens of capital vessels shredded, and all by a fleet that was supposed to be nothing more than primitive Earthlings. The voice came again. Calm, cold, certain. Earth does not seek war, but we will not stand aside while the galaxy burns. The galaxy shook. For the first time in history, every species, from the proudest empire to the smallest colony, turned their eyes to Earth. They had ignored humanity, dismissed them, mocked them as unimportant. But now, humanity had spoken in the only language the galaxy respected, the language of power. And though the war raged on, a new fear crept into the hearts of every alien commander. If this was only the beginning of humanity's entrance into the war, then what else had Earth been preparing in silence? The galaxy had seen countless battles, planets turned into dust, stars used as weapons, entire species erased from history. Yet nothing compared to the sight they now witnessed, the humans striking with precision and fury. The Skorath Dominion had always been feared. Their fleets were legends of destruction. For generations, the Skorath spread terror by crushing weaker races under their massive dreadnoughts. They fought with arrogance, certain that no one could ever stand against them. But in the Orvac system, that arrogance was shattered in an instant. At first, the Skorath commander could not believe it. His massive flagship, a vessel larger than any human city, had lost its shields in less than a minute. No alien weapon had ever done that. His crew scrambled to respond, sending volleys of plasma and antimatter beams toward the human fleet. But the humans moved differently. Their ships didn't glide in wide arcs like other war vessels. They darted, they shifted, they rolled. It was as if each human pilot was not following orders from a distant commander, but fighting like predators, each ship moving with its own cunning, and every shot hit. Alien sensors screamed warnings as Skorath cruisers were torn apart one by one. Railgun slugs pierced armor like paper, drilling holes so deep that explosions blossomed from the inside. Missiles struck with precision, not at random, but at the weak points the humans had clearly studied beforehand. It was not brute strength, it was strategy. Strategy mixed with weapons the galaxy had never seen. The Veyari generals, watching from their hidden command posts, felt a strange mix of emotions. On one hand, relief. For years they had been losing to the Skorath, forced to retreat system after system. But now, here was an unexpected ally tearing their enemy apart. Yet with that relief came fear. If the humans could do this to the Skorath, what could they do to the Veyari themselves? Whispers spread across the galaxy. On neutral worlds, traitors carried the news. On conquered colonies, rebels dared to hope. The humans are fighting, they said. The humans have weapons unlike anything else. Across countless stars, people listened in disbelief. But in the Orvac system, disbelief turned into terror. The Skorath commander gave the order to retreat. For the first time in centuries, his people pulled back from battle. His proud dreadnought limped away, engines burning, hull cracked, thousands of crew already dead. The once mighty fleet was reduced to wreckage. In less than an hour, the Skorath Dominion had lost more ships than in entire campaigns. The Veyari admiral, watching the scene, leaned forward. His scaled hands trembled. How? He whispered to himself. How did Earth build such weapons in silence? That question echoed in every war council. For centuries, the galaxy had laughed at Earth, dismissing humans as little more than reckless newcomers. They were famous for their stubbornness, for their ability to survive harsh worlds, but never for their technology. And yet, here they were, fielding weapons that outclassed even the most ancient arsenals. But the truth was far darker than the aliens imagined. Humanity had not built these weapons in arrogance or pride. They had built them in fear. For years, Earth scientists had studied alien wars from the shadows, watching the endless cycle of destruction. They knew one day the war would come close to Sol, and when that day came, humanity swore they would not be victims, they would be ready. And now the galaxy was learning just what ready meant. After the battle, human ships moved through the wreckage, not looting, not celebrating. They collected survivors, yes, even Skorath crew who had tried to kill them. They rescued civilians caught on nearby colonies, offering medical aid. This confused the Veyari even more. These humans were powerful, yes, but they were not conquerors. Their actions were not those of an empire seeking control. They fought, with brutal force, then offered mercy. That frightened the aliens most of all. Mercy backed by overwhelming power was something they did not understand. The galaxy began to whisper new names for Earth. Some called them saviors. Some called them predators. Others monsters wearing the mask of kindness. But everyone agreed on one thing: humanity could no longer be ignored. Back on Earth, in a hidden war room beneath the oceans, human commanders reviewed the battle. Their faces were calm, their voices steady. They knew the galaxy was watching, but they also knew this was just the beginning. The Orvac system had been a message, a warning. Humanity was here, and they would not let the galaxy burn unchecked. But even the human commanders could not predict what would come next, because the moment humanity entered the war, old alliances began to crumble. Factions once united against the Skorath now turned suspicious of each other, fearing who the humans might side with. Envoys were already rushing toward Earth, begging for friendship, offering treaties, pleading for protection. And in the shadows, darker powers stirred. The Skorath Dominion, humiliated, swore revenge. They sent messages to their hidden allies, promising the destruction of Earth. Others whispered of ancient weapons buried in forgotten systems, weapons designed to fight gods themselves. The galaxy had changed in a single battle, and at the center of it all stood humanity, unexpected, underestimated, and unstoppable. The Orvac system had been the first shock, but it was not the last. Across the galaxy, the name humanity spread like wildfire. The Skorath Dominion, once feared beyond measure, now tasted humiliation. Their mighty fleets had been reduced to scrap by what they once called primitive Earthlings. The Voric alliance, who had nearly lost all hope, suddenly found themselves whispering of new possibilities. But what truly stunned the galaxy was not just that humans had won, it was how they fought. Alien fleets fought with predictability. Every empire had its traditions, its fixed strategies, its trusted doctrines. The Skorath used overwhelming firepower, drowning their enemies in waves of plasma. The Voric relied on shield walls and formation tactics, building layers of defense that wore down attackers. Other races had their own styles. Some relied on stealth, others on numbers, others on technology. And for centuries, those patterns rarely changed. But humans did not fight like that. When the next battle came, in the Zevra Nebula, the galaxy finally saw what it meant to face Earth's fleet at full force. The Skorath, desperate to reclaim their pride, gathered a force twice as large as before. They came with dreadnoughts, battleships, carriers, and mercenary allies. Their commanders promised the destruction of every human ship. To them, the Orvac defeat was a fluke, a mistake they would erase with sheer numbers. But when the battle began, the humans once again shocked everyone watching. Instead of forming a massive wall of ships like the Skorath, the humans broke into smaller groups. Their vessels moved like hunters, weaving through the nebula, vanishing into its colorful clouds before striking from unexpected angles. Alien admirals who tried to predict their maneuvers found themselves confused. Human tactics were not written in codes or traditions. They were alive, adaptive, unpredictable. Railgun fire screamed through the fog, missiles slipped out of the shadows, and human ships appeared where no one expected them to be. It was as if the nebula itself had become their ally. The Skorath fought, back unleashing their full arsenal. Dozens of human ships were struck, some destroyed. But even in loss, the humans fought differently. Crews refused to surrender. Damaged ships rammed into enemy vessels, detonating their reactors to take foes down with them. Small corvettes flung themselves at cruisers, overwhelming them through sheer will. For the first time, alien commanders whispered in fear. These humans fight like they do not fear death. The turning point came when the human flagship, the Indomitable, faced the Skorath dreadnought Voric's pride. The Skorath ship was a floating fortress, 5 kilometers long, armed with weapons that had destroyed whole colonies. It advanced with confidence, firing beams of antimatter that carved through the nebula. But the Indomitable did not retreat. Instead, it accelerated. Every alien watching expected suicide. But the human flagship revealed something no one had seen before. Its hull shifted, panels opening to reveal massive magnetic rails stretching nearly the entire length of the ship. Power surged, the nebula itself glowing as energy built. Then, one shot, so powerful it tore the nebula apart in a blinding flash. The slug ripped through the Skorath dreadnought's shields, armor, and core. In seconds, the pride of the Dominion split in two, fire consuming it as its wreckage scattered into the void. Silence followed. The Skorath fleet broke. Ships scattered, commanders screamed for retreat, mercenaries abandoned their contracts. Humanity had not just won. They had destroyed the symbol of Skorath power in front of the entire galaxy. But what made the aliens shiver was not the weapon itself. It was the humans' faces, shown on intercepted transmissions. Calm, determined. They did not cheer, they did not boast. They fought as if this victory was expected, as if it was only another step in a much larger plan. The galaxy realized the truth. Humanity was not here by accident. They had been preparing for this war for decades, maybe longer. Every weapon, every tactic, every strategy, they had been forged in silence, waiting for the right time to unleash. And now that time had come. Voric celebrated the victory, but deep in their council chambers, fear lingered. If the humans could destroy a Skorath dreadnought with one shot, what else could they do? And more importantly, what would they choose to do next? Because the humans were not picking sides. They helped the Voric, yes, but they did not pledge loyalty. They fought the Skorath, but they did not claim vengeance. They were outsiders, shaping the war with their own hands. And in their silence, every empire saw danger. In the ruins of the Zevra Nebula, human salvage teams worked with precision. They collected data, technology, and survivors, not for greed, but for knowledge. The humans were learning, adapting, becoming stronger with each battle. And across the stars, a new question began to haunt every ruler, every admiral, every emperor. If humanity can turn battles so easily, what will happen when they turn the entire war? The galaxy was no stranger to power. Across millennia, empires had risen and fallen, wielding weapons so vast they could shatter moons. But what made humanity terrifying was not only their strength, it was their silence. They did not declare themselves rulers. They did not demand tribute. They simply fought, struck, and moved with purpose. And that silence unsettled the galaxy more than any threat ever could. The Skorath Dominion reeled from their losses. Their dreadnoughts, once symbols of fear, had been scattered into wreckage by Earth's fleet. The Voric alliance, saved twice, by humanity, celebrated publicly. Yet behind closed doors, their leaders whispered in unease. Why had Earth intervened? Why now, after decades of avoiding the war? The answer came slowly. Captured transmissions, decoded after the battles, revealed fragments of human intent. The galaxy had assumed Earth joined the war for expansion, for power. But the truth was different. Humanity's colonies had been targeted. Skorath scouts had ventured too close to Sol, too close to Earth's homeworld. Hidden probes had been discovered in the asteroid belt, silent watchers from alien empires. Humanity realized what the galaxy had not yet admitted. The war was spreading, and soon, it would reach them. Humanity had not joined out of ambition. They had joined out of necessity. But that necessity birthed something the galaxy had never seen before. Humans fought not for conquest, but for survival. And survival gave them a kind of strength no empire could match. They studied every enemy ship, every weapon, every tactic, and turned it into knowledge. To them, every battle was not just victory. It, too, was preparation for the greater storm. In the war councils of the Voric, this truth struck hard. They fight because they must, one general whispered, staring at the holoscreen of Earth's fleet. Not because they seek power. That is what makes them dangerous. They will never stop until they are safe. And what if safe means the entire galaxy under their watch? Across other empires, fear grew. The Skorath swore vengeance, promising to bring fire to Earth itself. The Arketh hives, silent observers until now, began arming their fleets. Even neutral powers debated whether to ally with humans or prepare to fight them. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy did not know who truly controlled the fate of the stars. Meanwhile, aboard the human flagship Indomitable, Earth's commanders spoke plainly. They did not talk of glory or conquest. They talked of home, of Earth cities, of their families, of the billions who depended on them. They knew the galaxy watched, but they also knew one truth. If Earth fell, there would be no second chance. And so they revealed their message, broadcast into every channel, in every language the galaxy could understand. Humanity does not seek your thrones or your crowns. We fight because the war has reached our borders. If you bring your battles to Earth, Earth will bring war to you. Leave us in peace, and we will leave you in peace. But test us again, and you will see why our ancestors survived a death world. That message spread faster than any weapon. On planets far beyond the war zones, ordinary aliens repeated it with awe, fear, and disbelief. Leaders tried to dismiss it as human arrogance, but the truth was written in the wreckage of Skorath ships. The galaxy knew the words were not a threat. They were a promise. And still, there was more. Because what the galaxy did not yet understand was that humanity's power was not only in their weapons, it was in their unity. Unlike the fractured alliances of alien empires, humanity fought as one. Soldiers, scientists, civilians, all were prepared. Even as their fleets pushed into battle, factories on Earth ran without pause, building more ships, more weapons, more defenses. Colonies that had once been weak now forged themselves into bastions of steel and fire. For the first time, the galaxy realized that Earth was not a minor world at the edge of space. It was a fortress, hidden in plain sight, forged by a species that had known nothing but struggle since the dawn of their history. The turning point came when intelligence revealed Earth's true plan. They were not seeking to conquer the Skorath or defend the Voric. They were gathering information. Every wrecked ship, every captured alien weapon, every data core ripped from destroyed fleets, they took it all. And from it, they learned. Their technology evolved battle by battle. What was unstoppable yesterday became obsolete tomorrow. The galaxy began to fear not just human strength, but human growth. If they could advance so fast after joining the war only recently, how powerful would they be in another decade? Another century? The answer was one no alien empire wanted to face. And so in the shadows, plots began to form. Some empires whispered of alliances to contain humanity before it was too late. Others spoke of assassination, sabotage, secret wars to cripple Earth, before they became too strong. But even as they plotted, a deeper dread lingered. Because if Earth had been silent for so long, what else had they hidden? What weapons still slept beneath their oceans? What fleets waited beyond their homeworld's orbit? What secrets lay in the darkness of Sol? The galaxy had wanted to dismiss humanity. Now it wished it had never awakened them. The war was not over, but the galaxy would never be the same again. The Skorath dominion still raged, licking their wounds while promising revenge. The Voric alliance rebuilt their fleets with newfound courage, emboldened by human victories. Neutral empires sat frozen, unsure whether to bow, ally, or strike. And at the center of it all, the one name whispered with both awe and dread was Earth. In the halls of alien rulers, endless debates erupted. Should they embrace humanity as saviors, or prepare for them as the next great conquerors? In the markets of distant colonies, traders carried tales of human ships moving like predators, of weapons that cracked dreadnoughts in seconds. In hidden bars and camps of refugees, stories grew into legend. The humans came, they said, and the galaxy trembled. But humanity itself did not celebrate. On Earth, under the glow of blue skies and white clouds, the people knew the truth. Victory was not the end. It was only survival for now. Leaders gathered not in grand palaces, but in fortified chambers, speaking in hushed voices. The war was expanding, and Earth had stepped into the fire. Every fleet they built, every weapon they tested, was only one part of a greater mission, to make sure the next generation of humans never bowed to alien chains. The galaxy misunderstood them. Some saw monsters, others saw heroes. But what humanity saw in themselves was simple: survivors who would do anything to protect their home. The final proof came in the Korath Rift, months after the Zevra battle. A coalition of alien empires, frightened of human power, joined forces with the Skorath for one desperate strike. Their plan was simple: destroy the human fleet in one decisive battle, prove that Earth was not invincible. They gathered a force so vast it darkened the stars. 1,000 ships, a dozen dreadnoughts, weapons forbidden by treaties long broken. It was not just war. It was an attempt to erase Earth from history before Earth could reshape it. The battle began with fire. Human ships were surrounded, their smaller fleet pressed from every side. Railguns blazed, missiles cut through the void, but even the mighty Indomitable trembled under the storm. Alien commanders smiled in cold satisfaction. Finally, they thought, humanity would break. But humanity did not break. They adapted. Even as ships were torn apart, even as fire consumed their hulls, the humans struck with precision. Damaged vessels rammed into enemy carriers, crippling them. Hidden drones swarmed from wrecks, detonating inside enemy hangars. And from Earth itself, reinforcements arrived. New ships, faster, stronger, forged from every lesson of past battles. Humanity had learned not just how to fight, but how to grow stronger with every loss. In the end, the coalition fleet scattered, broken like all the others. 1,000 ships reduced to wreckage, dreadnoughts burning in the rift, and humanity still standing, not untouched, not unscarred, but unbroken. When the smoke cleared, the galaxy understood a truth too heavy to deny. Humanity was not just another species. They were not another empire to rise and fall. They were something new, something that fought with the fury of predators, the mercy of healers, and the cunning of survivors. They could not be measured by fleets or weapons alone. Their strength came from the unyielding will to endure, to adapt, to outlast anything. From that day, the galaxy remembered Earth, not as weaklings, not as primitives, but as the storm that had walked into the battlefield and changed its course forever. For the Skorath, the name Earth became a curse. For the Veyari, a prayer. For neutral worlds, a warning. And for humanity, it was simply home. Worth every sacrifice, every battle, every risk. Whispers grew into legends. Children on distant worlds told stories of gray warships that struck like thunder. Soldiers carried tokens of human victories, symbols of a species that had entered the stars with fire in their hands. And in the dark corners of the galaxy, conspiracies spread. If this was humanity's beginning, what would their future look like? Would they become rulers of the galaxy, or its protectors? No one knew, not even the humans themselves. But one thing was certain. When humanity joined the galactic battle, the stars would never forget.